Thank you, Elena, for having, again, pleasure to be on this event. And at the very beginning, maybe a few words about me. I'm one slide too fast. So, as Elena introduced me, my name is Pawel Jaszewski, and I'm head of Business Transformation and Digitization Bureau for the SME and Corporate Banking in BNP Paribas, Poland. What to say that we are a universal bank. We cover the whole spectrum of the customers, starting from the retail through consumer finance, micro, local, medium, and large corporates, and of course, multinational customers. We are a member of the BNP Banking Group, which is right now the leading banking group in Europe. From my perspective, I am responsible for the, let's say, SME and mid-market, and also corporate. I'm not responsible for the micro companies. I believe it's important to say, because the needs and expectations of the smallest SMBs can be a bit different than those, let's say, middle and upper ones. So I will share with you mainly our experiences connected to the commercial companies, not one-person business activities. Okay. I'll start with the things that shape our customer expectations and, of course, our businesses. The first are the mega trends, so things that impact our customers and our, of course, lives in each and every area. And although we as banks or fintechs are providing, in this case, B2B services, quite often complex ones, we must remember that we are providing them to the people. And those people in their private space have built certain expectations based on their experiences when comparing with, I don't know, big tech companies, neobanks, fintechs. And they perceive SME offering or bank offering SME customers on the same level. So, no patient, digital native, price sensitive, no hassle. Those are the adjectives describing our SME customers. I would like to go a level deeper in this trends area. A few months ago, Business Insider published a very interesting report on global trends for 2021 and beyond. It covers around 20 trends from many areas, like, I don't know, political trends, sociological trends, technological trends. It was prepared by Business Insider with help of CEOs of the biggest multinational companies, I don't know, MasterCard, Audi, and scholars from the universities. And I've chosen four that I believe very heavily impact the SME area. And the first is called New Finance Consumer on the Horizon. And it is said that the Generation Z will soon become the largest addressable group of consumers, not only in the US, but in the whole world. And we must remember that those people have very different motivations and expectations than traditional customers. For example, they're much more open to innovation, to the fintech, to sharing their private data. They're digital natives. So what is additional worth to add, on the other hand, they're not likely to use certain traditional products, the research shows. For example, they're not likely to use credit cards overdraft because it limits their freedom. They're more likely to use things like, I don't know, buy now, pay later services. On this small graph, I believe that you cannot see, it's the share of the customers that are using banking services, digital and digital only. And in UK, it is right now 30%. Yeah, so almost half of the banking users in UK does not use any other channel. The second trend is called the Holy Grail of subscriptions. Sorry, very difficult word. I always have problem with pronouncing it. And it is about that pay-on-demand platforms and services are on the rise. It's quite obvious because young people do not want to own, do not want to possess things anymore. They just want to use them. And in fact, the same is happening among the SMEs in terms of owning offices, cars, IT equipment, machinery, etc. The third is that shopping is turning digital and mobile. And it was a surprise for me. But it is perceived and deemed that the m-commerce will become, in a very, very near future, the predominant channel for making purchases. Not the e-commerce, but the m-commerce. Why is it so? Because the technology advances so fast that that the mobile apps will give the consumer the biggest comfort and the biggest convenience in making purchases. And in fact, we can see it even today when you look at the biggest e-retailers, maybe I should call them right now the M-retailers, like, I don't know, Amazon, eBay, or Allegro in Poland, or fintech or big tech companies like, I don't know, Twitter or Facebook. Most of them, or even all of them, have already introduced things like big green button, which is said pay. And this is the only thing that a customer has to make to pay for the product or for the service. You know, the payment method is not a conscious decision of the consumer anymore. And it's a great challenge for the banks. The last one is called connected vehicles. I love this very much because I love cars. And it is said that between 5 to 10 years, almost all cars on our roads will be smart cars, cars connected to the internet, and they will be able to pay by themselves for certain goods and services, like, I don't know, road tolls, fuel, maintenance. And again, it will be a complete change of a paradigm. Today, our owner of a SME business or employee of a SME business takes a credit card issued by a bank and goes and buys fuel for the car or pays for the maintenance. But in these 5 years, maybe the car will pay by himself a service, I don't know, called Pay with your Citroën, and banks won't be needed. So to summarize, if we want to be successful in our businesses, I mean banks, we have to build appropriate business models to fit in those trends, to embrace them. Okay, a few words about competition. The word fintech was mentioned here many, many times, but it's quite obvious, but I'll say it again. We as a banks are not alone in the financial services market. Even if you look today at the participants or the speakers, most of them are representing, let's say, the fintech companies. And there are hundreds or thousands of fintech companies offering products or services to the SMB and SME customers. Quite often, or very often, there are monoliners, but thanks to that, they can offer a great product and a superb user experience. But what's the biggest issue for the bank is that they are targeting the most profitable products, like FX and lending, and they are peeling the banks like onions from the revenue streams. And again, banks have to find a way to compete with them. So what it means for the banks and for the SME financial services sector? I believe that in the last years, there has become a complete change in the source of the competitive advantage. Many, many years ago, it was built around product availability. I remember it quite well when 20, maybe 25 years ago in Poland, there was only one bank, literally one, which was offering overdrafts and credit cards for the SMEs. It was Citibank. Any other bank did it because they just thought it was too risky. And there, at the very beginning, were the ultimate winner. Yeah? They won the whole segment here. Then, of course, the other banks copied it. The price became important. Then this model evolved to a model which was built around product quality. What the customer wanted or expected was a range and quality of the product offer. Not a single product, but many products. Also important was the product availability in various channels. And of course, pricing. But still, it was built around product. Yeah? That's what the banks did. They sold products. But now I believe the only source of a competitive advantage in SME banking can be built around customer experience. Not product, not process, not platform itself, but the holistic, comprehensive customer experience related to key customer journeys. And I believe that for banks, focusing on this end-to-end customer journeys is the right path for winning the SME customer. But how does it get us to the onboarding? Because let's say the main topic beside the customer experience of my speech today is the onboarding. So once in BNP Paribas we knew that we need to focus on those end-to-end journeys, the key end-to-end journeys, so we had to define them. Identify them. To define them, we needed to define the criteria for this identification. So we decided for 4 criteria. The first is how does a given journey impact the customer satisfaction or customer experience? The second one is how does a given journey impact our revenues? The third one is how much it impacts costs. And 4, how does it support or impact our CSR goals? Because CSR goals are very important for us. We are the bank of the changing world. And we found out at the very, very beginning that one of those key end-to-end journeys was onboarding in a KYC process. It heavily impacts customer satisfaction and customer experience because it's the first moment, the momentum, the basic first contact with the bank, and you can make at the very beginning a good impression. And of course, each and every customer goes through this process. There is no more mass process in a bank because it covers each and every customer. It of course heavily impacts our revenues. The simpler, the better the process, the more customers, in theory, we can acquire, the more we can earn, of course. But what is, I believe, even more important, it's a great momentum for the upsell of products. In my opinion, again, there is no better moment for upselling a products to SME than onboarding. So if you include upselling there, you will earn more. Again, costs. If you have a manual process that is defragmented, executed in many units, and you need to print, a lot of documents, you need to retype the data, you need 2 visits at the customer headquarters to finish the KYC check, it will cost you a lot of money. Similarly, it will heavily impact the CSR, usage of paper, whether you need to print, 100 pages of paper of marketing materials, leaflets, agreements, regulations, and so on, or not. Whether do you have to visit the customer, spend fuel, and, emit carbon dioxide into the atmosphere or not. So the onboarding was the first one. The other 2 that we found out that were extremely important was the credit process. I believe that's quite obvious because it's one of the most important processes in the bank. And the third one was the consistent omnichannel approach. Obviously, omnichannel is not a journey, but the way that you do or your strategy towards the omnichannel define how all the journeys connected to the daily banking or after sales will look like. So again, it is extremely important. Okay, so to the final slide and a few words about how the process that we designed and implemented in BNP works. So we had 3 goals: to decrease the costs and decrease the number of errors. The other one was to improve customer satisfaction and measure it constantly. And of course, to increase the revenues mainly by increasing the upsell or the understood like number of products that the customer has and respectively the revenues that it brings. The customer can start a journey in one of the 2 channels, via relationship manager, through social selling, or through a landing page. But I have to be honest, most of the customers start the journey through the relationship manager because in this segment, I mean upper SMEs and corporates in Poland, we have to fight for the customer. Customers do not come to us, we have to fight for them. So when the relationship manager wins the customer and the customer wants to open an account with us, he receives an invitation to a web-based tool which is called onboarding key application. He gets credentials for logging to that tool. He logs in there, and what he finds in that tool is that it is partially pre-filled. It is pre-filled, but all the data that we can find about the customer. And there are really a lot of sources where we can find a good data about the SME customer. It's our internal databases, it's external public databases like National Registry of Companies, tax databases, and so on, and of course commercial databases. So part of this application is already filled in, as I said. The customer has just to confirm that it is true and accurate and up to date. He also needs to upload any documents if needed. We do not accept any documents in paper and we do not want it. And he fills all the missing data. What is important, this tool supports not only opening account, customer file, and let's say going through the KYC process, but it covers all products and services that are included into SME and corporate banking frame agreement, because as I said at the beginning, the upsell was very important to us at this stage. So it covers auxiliary accounts, domestic and foreign currency. It covers payments, payment cards. It covers internet banking, mobile banking, FX platform, a frame agreement for conducting negotiable FXs and deposits via phone, and many, many, many others. It may sound complex. Therefore, the customer has 2 ways to go through this application. He can do it by himself if he wants. And of course, our relationship manager can help him, and they can do it together simultaneously thanks to a co-browsing mode filling this application. Once all the data are checked and filled in, an application, of course, it's smart. It adjusted itself to the type of the customer and the choices that the customer made while filling it, all the data are transferred to our automated workflow tool. This workflow tool then sends all the needed data to the KYC system, which performs the KYC tasks. Then the documents are generated. They can be generated in a digital form and signed digitally, or they can be generated in a paper form for, let's say, traditional process where a customer and our team will use the wet signature. Once the documents are back, in the best possible scenario in the digital form, the workflow tool will just automatically put them into our archive, into the right folder. If they're returned to us in a paper form, they have to be put on our Lexmark machines, but happily, each and every page of this documentation have a unique barcode, and again, they will fully automatically land in the archive in the right folder. Once the documents are there, the KYC check can end, and by pushing one green button, all products and services can be activated. There's not a single data here that was retyped among all the system. It is fully integrated. At the very end, the customer also automatically receives the welcome mail, where we write to him, welcome in BNP Paribas. You will find the main contact persons here. So we say, this is your relationship manager, this is your dealer, this is your customer support team, things like that. And we order a welcome call to our customer service team, which they make, call, and once again say hello to our customer.